Hello, Destiny Word friends, and thank you for joining me today. Today I have a wonderful, exciting, wonderful person for you to meet. Her name is Erica Neely. I met her online as she has her own site as the what is it? The
Candid Mystic.
The Candid Mystic. Yes, I love that. And she is just a wonderful spirit, wonderful woman. Venturing out there and doing and living her truth and living her gift. And so I just wanted to connect with her, bring her here to connect with you, and we'll just share with her for a little bit, and it's going to be fun. And okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks
nice
for
to meet
coming.
everybody.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here and for sharing your energy. She's got such a pure, positive flow that just comes forth out of her. And any of you that have tuned in to her Saturday, it's like, what is it, Saturday?
Saturday Light Live.
Little
Saturday Night Live play there.
Yeah, anybody that's tuned into that will know that you can just feel it, just irradiating from her, which is what drew me in to and wanted me to I just felt like I got to connect with this woman. She's something else. So, okay, so felt like I should just really start off with just letting her share a little bit about how she began in this arena, in this spirit working arena, and how it all sort of came together for you, and let you share for a little bit on that.
Absolutely. Well, like I think a lot of people who come into their spiritual gifts, especially those who weren't aware, as I was never aware that I had spiritual abilities or psychic abilities as a child. And looking back, I can see and recognize times where I was using them, but when it became evident to me was in my adult life during my third pregnancy. This was probably the most stressful time I've ever been through in my life, and shortly after the pregnancy I found myself in a court custody battle, and I had some options, wasn't really sure what to do in terms of the father of my child, and there was just all these questions. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole,
right.
But basically I was really called to activate my heart and really tap into my heart, asking Spirit to remove my monkey mind from the decision making, remove any selfishness and ego, and really make my decisions from the heart.
Yeah.
And activating that really required a lot of meditation. I found myself needing to meditate before I lost my mind, literally. And that's really where it started for me.
Hooking up.
It started clicking into place for me. And I've always been spiritually open, always been, not closed-minded, just
right.
really open to spiritual concepts. But I always kind of thought that, those things were for other people, that other people, had those gifts. Mediums were mediums all their life, and, and that's just, everybody's different. And that's what I've found the longer that I'm in the community, the more people that I meet, that's the more that I find is that everybody's journey is different. And so it's always interesting to find how people come to their gifts. So backing up a little bit, how I was just talking about meditating and going through a meditation practice really helped me. And it wasn't my intention to open up psychically, to be honest. It was just a means for me to calm myself, really be centered in my decision making, like I said. And that's when things started opening up. I started receiving connection with my deceased grandmother, who was in my lifetime much like a mother to me. My mom had me when she was young. She was a teen mom, and so my grandmother played a huge instrumental role in my life. And so I was really excited when I was able to connect with her energy. But at that time, I didn't realize that because I was holding so much fear, there was so much uncertainty, that opening up that door to the other side in that way was kind of a revolving door for me. I didn't understand how to close it. I didn't understand how to set those boundaries with spirits.
Right.
And so I became very overwhelmed very quickly and quite frightened by everything that I started experiencing in my home, in my daily life.
Yeah.
So I quickly kind of shut that down.
Oh, yeah.
I shut that down. I said, I'm never opening that door again.
Right.
That was just totally freaky to me.
Yeah.
But a few months later, I kind of came back into this. And this is a funny story. This is actually through a children's movie that really, really kind of started opening me back up again. I was watching Kung Fu Panda 3 with my kids.
Okay.
We were watching it in the living room, and lots of, Eastern philosophy in that movie, in those movies, and just really cute movies anyways. But what really caught my attention was, the panda and his sensei, his teacher, speaking about chi.
Yes.
And that really got me to listen, and so halfway through that movie, I'm on my phone, and my kids still make fun of me about this to this day. I'm on my phone researching chi and what that means.
Okay.
And, one thing led to another, and I decided, I just felt it in my heart. I just felt that there was something special that I had to offer in terms of spirituality.
Yes.
Then I think, the natural thing this day and age is for us to go straight to the internet, to Google, to YouTube. And so that's kind of how my journey started until I hit a wall. I hit a wall, and I got to a point where I understood that I needed a mentor, that I needed help. I needed help learning how to use this. It's kind of like, okay, I have this now. I'm understanding things about myself. One of the first things that opened up for me was my clairvoyance. Okay. So my clear seeing was very, very strong back then. And also my clairaudience, so clear hearing. Yes. Now I've also always been clear cognizant, which just means clear knowing.
Yeah.
It's for anyone who's unfamiliar, it's just you just know things, and it's kind of bittersweet because you can't really prove, you can't validate why you know something.
Yes, it's true.
Right?
Yes.
So that's probably why I never really recognized how psychic I was all of my life, because I just thought, I don't know how I knew that. I must be crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yep. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I came into contact with a mentor, and I actually asked Spirit, I'll never forget, I was sitting in my office, I was working as an office manager at the time, and no one else was in the office, and I just broke down and I started crying, and I asked, please, I need help. I need, you to bring a teacher, a guide into my life that's right for me right now, that can help me cultivate these gifts. And so I found that person, and that's really just what's really started leading me into this. This person, I really resonated with her. A very good-hearted woman, and really, really was dedicated to helping teach. And she was offering things that were within my price point at that time, which was really, really nice. So it all worked out. Spirit always listens when we ask, right?
That's right, yes.
That's important to remember. Sometimes we think we have to do it all on our own. And so once I stepped out and I said, I need help, that help was delivered, and I've just been cultivating ever since. I've worked with other mentors since then, really just learning how to use my gifts.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. And a lot of it, because of the time and day and age we live in, a lot of stuff then comes into social media. Mm-hmm. Because now it's not good enough just to, be your true self and be put out there. You've got to learn how to do filming and radio, and you've got to be a technician, and you got to, I don't want to scare anybody off, but it's the truth. You have to learn how to present yourself to social media, because social media is so huge, and that's where a lot of people are at. People a lot of times will attend something socially online where they won't go in their own physical, body to it. But that's awesome. Very cool how that opened up for you. And everybody's journey is so different. And I believe that we make agreements, and as we come into this realm, we make agreements and we set things in order on our life purpose and our direction. And doesn't matter what, for me, my psychic activity and stuff started when I was 5 years old. And it's sort of been a path that I've grown through. That may be you, or you may come into it much later where all of a sudden the light just kicks on and said, wow, I've been working in this my whole life, and now it really connects to me where I'm supposed to go from now, from this place on. But so my next question for you, what would be some pointers, some encouragement you would give to those out there that are feeling activated? They're feeling like something's happening, but I don't know where to go with it. What do I do?
I would say The biggest thing that I wish I would have done differently when I, going back to that day in my office, is I wish I would have set a more clear intention as to what I want. Why do I want to cultivate these gifts? I just knew that I had things happening at the time and I needed help understanding them.
Yes.
And for many of us, that's enough. We just need to understand. We want to understand what we're working with. But I would say if you're really interested in really actively using your psychic gifts, your empathic abilities, all these things that we, come into this world equipped with.
Yes.
That you ask yourself why. Really spend some time spend some time in meditation and prayer, whatever you do, in silence, write stuff down. Really, really tap into the heart and ask yourself why it is that you want to cultivate this. Because you can look all over the place, on TV, in books, all these different areas where you have people with psychic abilities who are using them in different ways.
Yes. You
have mediums, you have spirit channels, like Esther Hicks, or many of you know these teachings from Abraham Hicks, who's teaching law of attraction. Some people are teaching about self-love. Some people, what do you want to do with that light? Because we all have this light.
That's right.
We all have our own individual light, and I guess discernment, understanding, that would be my first tip.
Okay, yeah.
Now, my second tip would have to be kind of like I asked for help. Yeah. Understanding that you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to go it alone. I'm going to be honest, a lot of times when you are taking this path, especially in a day and age like now, it can be quite a lonely path, a lonely journey at times, because there are many times you're kind of left to your own devices, Spirit's really testing you. Kind of like this morning, we had a little bit of a test of whether or not we were going to be able to meet, and we had to push through that to make it happen. So it's definitely a two-way street. I think I kind of had the misconception that I was going to walk into this work and everything was just going to start clicking.
I do too.
And the truth of the matter is that, especially when you're starting out, you're kind of in that stumbling phase. You're trying to get your footing.
It's almost like a baby. You're starting to learn to walk. You're starting to walk it out.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially with how we market ourselves these days, to have the ego kind of creep in. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's definitely something to recognize when it's happening.
Yes.
Spirit doesn't like when we're just out there doing this work only for money. Not to say we can't make money doing it. We have to live, and there's nothing wrong with being abundant. But it really comes down to that energy that you're holding within yourself.
Heart, yes.
And if you know who you are and you know what you're doing, then the haters can't really faze you as much.
Yes.
The abundance can come to you more freely and more easily if you're having fun, if you're doing your work from a heart-centered perspective.
Yes, that's true.
Definitely.
That's very good.
Definitely. And the last thing that I will say, tip-wise, is that when you're opening up, it can be very normal, I think, to feel really alone and to naturally just isolate yourself. I think that that's probably the worst thing that you can do, but also one of the most common things that people who are opening up, and clients that I work with who are kind of newly awakened, it's a totally unknown, uncharted territory, uncharted energy, and so the tendency is to withdraw and feel really alone. And although, like I said, this journey can be a very lonely one, we always must reach out, try and connect with other people, ask Spirit to really align you to your friends and family and colleagues in this line of work.
For your tribe,
Yes, call in your tribe.
Call in your tribe, that's very good.
Yes, because this is the thing that a lot of people miss. And this is something that I missed for a very long time. I knew these things were coming. I knew things were happening. I had this feeling inside of me that I was meant for something, bigger than myself. I was meant to do work that was much bigger than myself, much bigger than I can even fathom.
Right.
And
what came to me when you said that, I was picturing you're going into this place and you're expecting something really grand, and then it's very small. and intimate. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you went there expecting a huge Ferris wheel, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get there and it's not bad. It's not that it's bad. It's just not what you expected, and so you have, so now you're sort of like, well, I thought I was born for this great purpose, you know, this huge thing, and it's a little bitty thing,
Right.
but you know, but you have to learn to be able to be trusted with little before you can be trusted with much. That's what I always thought and believed. So you know that if I'm gonna, you know, if you can't, I don't know, what's the word? Sort of, if you can't believe for $5, how are you gonna believe for 5,000?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And put yourself out there for a mega. This is the difference. I really believe in people that they're. And a lot of them will tell you, I never had this intention. Mm-hmm. You know, I never had this intention for it to be so huge, but it just sort of manifested this way, and it came about because I just believed that I'm doing my purpose. So you just live your purpose, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with what you're saying.
It kind of
sort
does
of.
actually. It does tie into it. I'm receiving again where I left off, and that is, you know, it took me a long time to make sense of the fact that a lot of us hide behind different excuses as to why we're not doing something or why something's not working out, or it must be something with me, it must be, you know, I'm not good enough or something like that. I thought I had this big grand gift that I was going to do all these things in the world, but now it's not working out. And kind of like you said, it takes that push through, that trust is so huge, and deciding that you're going to trust in what it is that you're doing.
Yes.
And the more that we start to trust, and this is really for anybody, but especially those who are in the position in the very beginning where you're putting yourself out there and it's not working out how you thought, keep going, because the truth of the matter is you are connected to an entire tribe of people out there who are just waiting for you to turn your light on.
Yes.
They're waiting for you to step into your greatness and into your light and say, I don't care how many people show up to this event. I don't care how this works out, because I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. And the more that you say yes to that, and the more that you listen to the guidance that you're given, this is me speaking from my own experience.
Yes.
The more that I push through and the more that I've been tested and I show up anyway.
Yes.
Even if that particular event doesn't do as great as I had hoped, it always leads to something else. It always leads to something else, or a connection, or something that opens up my path a little bit more. So I would say, as hard as this is, and it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, especially when you say it this way, but it really is selfish to keep your light shut off and hide behind, you know, your ego, when there are so many people out there who really truly do need your help, and that you're called to connect with, to help wake them up, and help heal, and you know, whatever it is that your work is.
Yes. No matter what it is, really, because there's so many, like you said, there's so many diversities of gifts, from healing gifts to psychic gifts to communication gifts to mentoring gifts to teaching gifts. I mean, it just goes on, because we're gifted people and we're meant to connect. We're made for this. This is what we were created for. And finding, you know, what the word I'm searching for, but it's sort of like the Akashic records, you know, finding the root and going down to, this is what I came here to do. And it's usually the very opposite of what the thing that you fear the most is usually the thing you came here to do the most.
Yes.
You know, you're like, oh, I'm so afraid of this, and that's the thing you came here to conquer. Or you said, I'm gonna come into this place and I'm gonna do this thing because, and I don't even know why, but I feel like this is the direction I have to do. I have to fulfill this in my life, and no matter what it is, it's anything that you fear the most is the thing you need to be attacking. You know,
absolutely,
and just say, I'm not going to run from this. I'm going to run to it.
Yes, run towards that, and there's a difference, you know, between fear of stepping out of your comfort zone and like straight up terror fear.
Yes.
You know, there's a difference between like what you're describing, the running towards your fear, is those feelings that you would get before you step on stage and do a performance, or before you know, give a speech or something like that.
Yeah.
Those types of fears, you know, that's totally different than being scared,
terrified,
of a haunted house, or
no, don't do that.
you know, being scared of something, you know, like
Yes.
someone that's going to hurt you or something like that.
Right. No, no, you don't.
I think the body responds very similarly, but there's a difference.
There is, yes.
There is a huge difference, and so those types of fears are really, really signals
Yes.
that you're just need to step through that. On the other side is the thing that you desire, because what our ego does is it creates this barrier kind of fear. It creates our comfort zone. That's what our comfort zone is designed by. It's our ego, and our ego will change if we force it to, but it really gets comfortable. It doesn't, like, you know, like I always describe it, as funny as this sounds, but to clients I always describe the ego as kind of like that stoner friend that would rather sit on their couch and smoke, you know, weed all day and not get out and do anything. Not that there's anything wrong with cannabis in my opinion, but you know what I'm saying, like,
right.
you kind of just get couch locked, if you will, and that's kind of what the ego does. It doesn't like to have to reinvent itself, because when we step out of our comfort zone, then the ego has to restructure around that. And
Yes.
and that is really what that fear is. It's that fear of growth, that fear of putting yourself out there.
You could sort of exchange the words apprehension. It's
Yes.
not a terror, it's an apprehension. It's a fear of growth, a fear of change, a fear. And everybody, sometimes, you know, we say we'd like to change, but really, sometimes we don't really.
Yeah.
We don't really want to change, because it means pushing out and changing, you know, pushing out your tent stakes, moving some barriers, moving some things that have been stationary in your life. And so I've been feeling, since we've been talking, that we're going to take a little break in a bit, and we're going to come back and speak to those places for you for just a few minutes, just some healing words.
Yes.
I've just been feeling that stirring in me, that there's going to be, we need to punch on some things, and just speak some healing, encouraging words for you after this is done. But we're going to tie this up first, and then we're going to do that, but just for a few minutes. But how do we wrap this up? I just feel like this has been a day to encourage you to be your true self. That's the greatest thing you can be, is be true to you, and utilize the giftings, utilize your talents, and speak your truth and live your truth. It's very powerful, and that's what this woman's all about. That's where you got your name.
Yes, the Candid Mystic. I chose that name while I was still a student.
Yes.
And of learning how to utilize what I was, working with here in terms of my spiritual psychic abilities. And during all of the practice readings and all of the times I put myself out there, I started recognizing that I couldn't hold back the information. This is where that trust comes in.
Yes.
And this actually was really helpful, by the way, for me getting up on a Facebook Live. And I know maybe not everybody might not feel comfortable doing that, but I was able to do it in a really safe, protected group and space. And I learned that by getting up and doing mini readings on people, pulling cards, that information started coming to me a lot quicker. It was like it really got the flywheel going for me. But again, that trust, just trusting what it is that you're being given, because I think the tendency at first when you're learning those gifts is to hold back, not share everything that you're seeing or feeling, and it just takes some time. And I started recognizing that the most potent and the most powerful readings that I was able to give were ones that I just shared. Like I was describing everything that I was seeing. Okay, I'm seeing an apple. I'm going to tell you I'm seeing an apple, and this is how it's making me feel.
Exactly.
And once we start doing that, and once you start sharing what you're seeing, more will come. More comes. And before you know it, you've put together this story for somebody.
Yes.
And those monotonous details that don't mean anything to you as the reader or the psychic are oftentimes the most powerful, connecting, important and validating pieces of information for the person who's being read, who you're giving a reading to, or who you're doing healing on.
Yes.
It really is that trust. And so I chose to term myself, I chose the name with Spirit, actually. There was many meditations that went through here, and I received the name, or the word Candid. candid. And so I chose Candid Mystic because that being honest.
Yes.
Being honest with yourself. A lot of times in my readings and my services, the first portion of what happens between me and a client is just identifying where it is that we're at now, where you're at right now.
Yes.
Developing that clarity and that awareness, because that is the first step, I think, in creating any change, is really being honest with yourself about where you're at and what you've attributed and contributed, actually, to you being there.
Yes.
You know, we kind of take the fingers off of everybody else and see where we can turn them on ourselves.
Yeah. Say, what?
Yeah.
And what put me here?
Yes.
And
so
center yourself.
Mm-hmm. So I tend to attract people that really are really ready to, like, put the work out there. They're ready for that.
Well, that is, I believe, names are very powerful. They really are. And your name, it speaks volumes, because exactly that's what you're going to get. You know, if you have whatever it is in your name. When you set a business name, it's very important, or a name for something. That's why your personal name is very important. You know, it sets a precedence for your whole life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny, but it's so true. But that's and what do you term the name mystic to mean? I did a whole series on mystic because I love the word mystic. Mm-hmm. And it's a cool word. But mystics are very. I even had somebody call me a mystic once. I was like, what? I didn't expect it, you know. Yeah. So you're a mystic. I said, well, the person was like, so what do you do? And I told him this. Oh, so you're a mystic. I'm like, oh, I am? Okay, cool. So what do you call? You know, what do you define a mystic as?
Well, the energy that word has is kind of sexy and, like, unknown. You know, a little mysterious.
Yeah, it's like,
you know.
Going on.
And that really, even to me, I love, I don't even know the actual definition of the word mystic, but when I think of mystic, I think of somebody who is doing work, they're doing things that other people might not necessarily understand.
Yes.
But in many cases, it doesn't really matter if you understand, because I think the biggest part, the most important part of any mystical workings or psychic workings that are done properly from the place of the heart is that shifts are occurring.
That's right.
You know, shifts are occurring and you don't necessarily understand why, and it doesn't necessarily even matter.
Right.
You know, I have many past lives as a mystic, quote unquote, and so that was also part of my inspiration.
Okay, cool.
For that is just always feeling, you know, throughout my childhood, I did mention the claircognizance and just kind of knowing things.
The inner knowing.
Yes, and the empathic nature that I have, meaning that I can feel the emotions of people and really pick up on the emotions of other people in that way, especially physically.
Yeah.
But even as a child, you know, having adults sometimes or friends or people in my life come ask me for advice that I really didn't feel qualified to give. You know, the kind of advice you're thinking, shouldn't you be asking your therapist this? Or shouldn't you go to the doctor or something? And, you know, so to me that's very mystical.
I agree. They can feel, you can feel that, you know, that's what, just feeling, that inner feeling that you just feel around people, certain people make you feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. And that is what you radiate that. That's why it probably came to you like, she's got something, she knows something, you know. Mm-hmm. You got this radiant, like, I know something. I ain't telling you, but I'll know it, and I'll tell you when I'm ready.
Right.
When I'm ready to tell you, I'll tell you for sure. Right. But anyway, so this has been awesome. I thank you so much for this today, and we'll be back in a few minutes, but I want to just close this out with thanking you, blessing you, and you're going places. It's beautiful.
Well,
meet
thank you for having me.
To know you, and tune in to her Saturday Light Live. It is very, very good. She'll really be there. She's very connected, and she will. She'll be there for sure. I know that. I know she'll be there to meet you. Anyway, yeah. So tune in and listen. And she's on Facebook. Do you have a website you want to?
Yeah, I do have a website. It is CandidMystic.com.
Perfect.
So pretty easy. And my Facebook page is Erica Neely Candid Mystic, but I think if you search Candid Mystic, you'll probably still find it, because I haven't come across that name at all.
Yeah, I have never either. Yeah, but you will find her doing some little research, looking for her, and she will bless your socks off. She's blessed me, and she doesn't even know it. So much. Anyway, so it's been good. But anyway, so we will be back in a little bit, just with some prayer and a little bit of just healing energy for you. And love you all. Bless you so much, and thank you, and namaste. See you later.